Hello, North Canton, and welcome to another edition of Overtime. I am your host, Patrick Hotnick. In addition to our usual interview, today we'll be taking an in-depth look at the newly structured college football playoff format. College football is very popular among sports fans these days, with plenty of action and excitement, as well as shocking upsets no one saw coming. But despite all the entertainment it provides, the NCAA has been criticized for many years for one thing: the BCS system. The BCS system was often criticized for not having any playoff format to determine who would play for the national championship. In this system, whoever was ranked in the top 2 in the BCS standings got to play for the national championship. Without a playoff to see whoever was most deserving to play for a national championship caused numerous championship games to be lopsided. A few examples include the 2013 national title game, where Notre Dame's luck and perfect season ended to SEC powerhouse Alabama 42-14. In 2004, the Oklahoma Sooners made it to the title game, only to get mauled by USC 55-19. This became even more controversial when the Auburn Tigers, who were undefeated that season, didn't get a shot at playing USC for the title for playing a weak non-conference schedule. However, the BCS did have its share of memorable title games. The 2006 Rose Bowl between Texas and USC ended in a victory for Texas when quarterback Vince Young scrambled for a touchdown in the final minute. And just this past year, the BCS went out with a bang as Florida State capped off a comeback with a last-minute touchdown to defeat Auburn. But now this year's football season will end with a playoff to determine who will play for the national championship. This new playoff system will consist of a Final Four playoff between the 4 best teams in the country determined by a selection committee. As of now, the Final Four would be Alabama, Oregon, Florida State, and TCU. The only way this could change is if either Alabama, Oregon, or Florida State lose their conference championship this weekend. If this were to happen, teams on the bubble such as Ohio State or Baylor could find themselves in the Final Four. With all these changes occurring in all the different scenarios, fans are watching to see if the selection committee makes the right decision. Obviously, what is right will depend on who you're rooting for. Now that we've spent some time on some national headlines, let's head to overtime with this week's guests. Joining me today are 4 seniors from the Hoover football team: Ian Baker, Alex Schaefer, Trent Thomas, and Kyle Brocker. The football team finished with 3 victories this season, including one against rival Louisville. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Pat. Now last season, the team finished out the season defeating Jackson. It was a great atmosphere. It's nice to send the seniors from last year out on a high note. So Ian, starting with you, did that victory against Jackson last season give the team momentum heading into the offseason?
Yeah, I really think it did. That victory kind of reinstated in us like what Hoover football is about and how much we love the game. So it really gave us a lot of motivation going into the offseason to really work hard at it because we knew next season we were going to be a solid team.
Alex, what about you?
Yeah, it just gave us a lot of forward momentum. Like we didn't want to stop. We didn't want to stop from there. We wanted to just keep the ball rolling through the offseason and give us a lot of hope for the next season to come.
Trent?
I think it also instilled a lot of confidence in us because I think we were on a pretty bad losing streak at that point, and we were trying to find something good to take into the next season. And after we got that confidence in a lot of the players that returned next year, we were ready to go.
Kyle?
Yeah, like Trent was saying, we didn't have the most successful season last year, but that win kind of gave us that extra push we needed to get into the offseason and carry it on to the next season.
Yeah, because not only is it's great sending the seniors out on a victory, but it also gives the underclassmen and juniors next year something to work for really for the offseason.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now the offseason in football is really long. It could be considered pretty much a year-round sport. But this year also came changes in that. The school brought in John Georgiades as a new strength and conditioning coach. He really changed the way the techniques of lifting and the way we condition. So Alex, what did you think about these changes in the offseason workouts?
It was a lot more fast-paced. We didn't have a lot of time in between sets, which I think cut down a lot of the talk and a lot of the BS between players and stuff, and allowed us to work a lot more with each other and build a lot more leadership in the weight room and on the field during the season.
Trent, what do you think about these changes?
I agree with Schaefer, and I think that it definitely helped our conditioning early on in the winter because we were doing things at a quicker pace, and it was helping us get in better shape going into the summer where we knew we had to get into better shape as well there.
Kyle?
Yeah, he was a good add-on. Our previous coach, Ben Van Branken, he also helped. Can't give Georgiades all the credit, but yeah, both of them together, they really helped us through the offseason get in shape.
Ian, what do you think about the changes?
It was certainly different, but I really enjoyed it. I think it made our workouts a lot more efficient. We got a lot more work done in a lot less time, so it really helped our team out.
Exactly. That fast-paced the fast pace, also worked for the fast-paced offense you guys ran this year. It definitely makes sense to run, more short distance sprints rather than the long distance. I'm sure you guys did in the past couple years. Now, Kyle and Alex, your junior seasons last year were cut short due to injuries. I'm sure you guys, were big fans of standing on the sidelines while your team was out there. So Kyle, how eager were you to get back onto the field this year?
Oh, I was so eager. I've had a big injury pretty much every year. So being able to play the whole season really until like the last couple games, it was great. I love being on the field, and it just sucks that I get injured and have to sit out.
Alex, what about you?
Give me a lot of things to look forward to. Like it made me look forward to putting on that orange helmet again, because there's really nothing like it out there, and just helped me get through the season. Like it gave me a lot more to look forward to, and it helped me get better through the off season. Gave me a lot more to strive for.
Yeah, and injuries are just a part of the game. They can happen to almost anyone. You don't want to see them happen to anybody, but I'm sure after missing out on some of your season last year, it must have felt great to be back on the field, with your teammates again.
Of course.
Now, Ian, this past summer you committed to Yale University to play football there. And now Yale is is a prestigious school, has a rich football history. It's Ivy League school. What led you to your decision to commit there?
I always really wanted to go to an Ivy League school. It was always a huge goal of mine. And when I started to get recruited by these schools, it was just surreal to me. And I visited a lot of schools, and I went to a lot of different programs. But really, at Yale, I found a family of players and coaches that reminded me a lot of the players and coaches here in North Canton. And that's really what drew me to the school. Academics at the schools that I attended over the summer were all great. But Yale's family and the guys there, I loved it, so that's why I chose Yale.
Yeah, and Yale is also a school where if football weren't to work out, then you get your degree from there. You're pretty much set. It's definitely beneficial to you later in life.
Yep.
Now we talked about the changes in the off season, and along with the changes in the off season workouts, also came a change in the coaching staff. Longtime defensive coordinator Coach Cummings, stepped down as coach before the season started. And Trent, starting with you, what was your initial reaction to Coach Cummings stepping down, and did you think it was going to affect the team in any way?
I was obviously disappointed with Coach Cummings stepping down. I had built a pretty good relationship with him over the past 2 years, so that was a little bit of a disappointment. But I think we knew that we would have the coaches to make up for Coach Cummings, and we were able to bring in some people to really help us out, so it worked out well.
Alex, what do you think about this?
Coach Cummings was like a dad to a lot of us. He treated us like his own sons, and he was a great coach. He knew what he was doing, and yeah, it affected a lot of us stepping down because we didn't know what was going to happen with our defense, because we already had a pretty good defense going into the off season, and we weren't sure what was going to happen, but we stuck through it. So,
Ian, what was your reaction to this?
Coach Cummings was really one of the guys that's made me who I am, and I was very disappointed when I heard that he was stepping down, but I completely understood. The amount of time these guys put into the program, year in and year out, eventually you have to take some time off for yourself. And I think, maybe I would have liked to have him for a coach as another year, but I completely understand his decision. So I think we got the coaches, though, to fill in for him. I didn't think it affected us too much.
Kyle, what do you think about this?
Yeah, like Ian said, the coaches that filled in for him, Cheka and Johnson, their transition was really smooth into the coaching staff. So they really didn't change too much. So the transition was good, and I think it helped our defense.
Yeah, exactly. The team brought in Coach Cheka, longtime defensive coordinator at Jackson, to coach the D-line, and you also promoted linebackers coach, Coach Johnson, to the defensive coordinator. Now, Cheka is a guy who brings a lot of energy to the field. His presence is definitely known. So, Kyle, what was it like adjusting to a new coach in Coach Cheka and to a new defensive coordinator in Coach Johnson?
Coach Cheka is really like no other coach. He really brings enthusiasm. Sometimes he's more excited than we are to practice, especially on Mondays. But he really helped the season go along.
Trent, what about you? What do you think?
He preached consistency, and he was always in your face no matter what you were doing, whether you were doing good or whether you were doing bad. So he brought that in the first day of the summer, and he never stopped until the last day of the season.
Alex?
he was quite the rambunctious little one, but he didn't want anything but our best, and he didn't want anything but the best for us, and he knew what he was doing, and he made us practice the way to make perfect. Like, he made us perfect.
Ian?
Coach Cheka was really a shock to the system for a lot of us, I think, and it took a while to get used to him. But he was a great coach. He'd be one to mess around with you at practice, but then maybe pull you aside after practice and have a really serious conversation about how the season's going and your senior year. So I really appreciated everything he did for the program.
Yeah, because not only were there changes in the coaching staff, you obviously graduated a great group of seniors last year, and Lou Grangine, Alex Binney, Jake Garfield, as well as an offensive line that was really solid last year. So with all these seniors graduating, Ian, what do you think was the outlook for the team this year?
Well, we had a lot of great players graduate, but I think we also had a lot of individuals graduate. And it really created more of a team this year. I think, as opposed to last year, we were a lot closer as a team this year. All the classes were together. There was no discrimination in between classes. And although we did lose a lot of great players, I think we really came closer together, and we had a solid team.
Alex?
Yeah, like Ian said, we lost a lot of individuals too. I mean, they were a great group of kids, but I don't think they had the leadership that actually the seniors and juniors and sophomores, because they were all leaders on the field this year, and they all took their own responsibility for what they've done, and we all just joined as a group, as a team.
Trent, what do you think was the outlook for the season?
I agree with what they said, and you also have to realize teams lose guys every year. So we knew that we were losing some good athletes on the field, and we knew that we can make up for it with the guys that were coming up and the guys we already had. So I think we were pretty confident.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, every year you lose great players, but that just leaves a spot for people to step up. And I think that's what we did this year. We had a lot of seniors start on the varsity, which was great.
Yeah, and Hoover has also been known as playing together well as a team. There's really no individuals. In any team sport, it's all about the team. It's really no individual. If you have that teamwork and leadership, you can go as far as you want to go. Now, for the past few years, Hoover has always scrimmaged a state power and Mentor the week before the season starts. And Mentor, they're state runners-up last season. They made it to the regional championship this year. Alex, what's one thing you learned from the Mentor scrimmage?
After coming out of the Ashland scrimmage, thinking we were really big-headed after that, and they really showed us that we had a lot to work on, and we had a lot to grow, like a lot of room to grow as a team, and that we weren't invincible after the Ashland scrimmage. But they were a pretty good team, and they showed us that we had a lot of room for improvement.
Trent?
Yeah, they showed us that we clearly aren't the most talented team, and we can't make small mistakes on the field or we're going to get beat. And that's what they picked us apart with, the small mistakes, because they clearly have they're a very talented team, and they're a lot bigger than us. So it showed that we had to do the little things right to win.
Kyle, what do you think?
I think they really just showed us that we need to pick up our pace of play. They have 100 guys, so they're rotating people in and out, and we have guys going two ways, so we really just have to pick up the pace.
Ian, what's one thing you learned?
Like Kyle said, I think the pace of the game was a complete difference in Mentor to Ashland. Mentor's just fast. Like he said, they've got the guys, they've got the depth in their team, and it really showed us that we need to be able to work guys both ways, and we need to be in great shape if we want to continue our season.
No, it's great scrimmaging a state power like that, because it really prepares you well for the Federal League is always a tough league every year. It kind of prepares you well for what's in store ahead in your season. Now, the first game against Stowe, you're playing at Stowe. It was a hard-fought game. Stowe was another good team this year. They were a really good team last year. But you guys did some good things. Made some mistakes, but fought hard. But it ended in a 28-17 loss. Now, you really don't want to start off the season off with a loss. So, Kyle, what was key to as a team not getting down on yourselves, and pick each other up?
Really, after the game, learning from the mistakes, but forgetting about it. Moving on to the next one. I'm pretty sure we had Louisville next week. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, we had Louisville next week. We had to prepare for Louisville. We had to forget about that loss, learn from it, but just move on, really.
Trent?
I think we were all, even though we knew that was a big loss, we knew that we had all of our goals in front of us still, and we knew that we were on the doorstep to winning that game. So I don't think we lost any confidence in ourselves. We just knew we had to work harder to win the next one.
Alex, what do you think?
Like they said, but Stowe was a great team. They were a really good team, and that kept opening our eyes that we really need to step it up here coming into Louisville. We're not putting the pieces together that we need to put together. We can't give up big plays and key plays, and we just need to keep grinding through the season.
Ian, what do you think?
I think Stowe really pointed out to us that we just can't make the mistakes we were making in that game and win out in the season. I think, we're a good team, but we're not good enough to make all those mistakes. And that's really what Stowe kind of showed us early on, and I'm glad they showed us early on so we could continue with our season.
Now, the following week, you're playing Louisville, and a lot of people may not know, but Louisville and Hoover, it's a big rivalry. A really important game to some of the players, coaches, and fans in the community. And it was the first home game, and it was a great win for you guys. Young sophomore Eric Sarbaugh kicking the game-winning field goal with less than a minute left. So, Alex, how important was this win for the team?
Pretty important. It sent us into week 3 with a lot of confidence. It boosted all of our morale around just in school and stuff. And we finally learned that if we make big plays and we limit the plays that on defense and don't give up big drives and stuff, that we can really do anything we really want.
Trent, how big of a win was this for the team?
I think it was big, not only because we lost to them last year, but I think it was big to end their streak because we knew that they were a good team and that we finished the game against a good team, that we could finish the game against anybody, and that's what we proved to ourselves.
Now, the following week, the team, you beat Canada, it's a pretty lopsided game, but then 3 straight weeks you lose to 3 Federal League opponents. You lose by a touchdown to McKinley, you miss the last second field goal that would have beaten Perry, and you lose another close game to Lake. Now, in these losing streaks, it's easy for a team to get down themselves, start pointing fingers and blaming each other. Kyle, what was key to not getting down yourselves, as a team, and to pick each other up and keep on fighting the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, you have to look at those 3 games and how we lost. We were in each game. We could have won. I mean, that could have turned out completely different if a couple plays went our way. So, I mean, we really, in our minds, we really weren't a losing team. I felt we were winning. It's just too bad that it turned out the way it did. But, I mean, we kept our motivation up, and we kept going in. We played Boardman, and we beat them, and they were a good team, even though they had a losing record, But, we felt confident going into there.
Ian, what do you think?
Being as close as we were, I think that helped us out a lot. Everybody picked each other up no matter what, no matter whose fault it was on each play. We all picked each other up, and that's really what kind of kept us going through those 3 games. And also the coaching staff, really, they kept their tempo up. They didn't just give up on us. I can remember Coach Hurler always telling us, we're going to have something to be happy about real soon here. And that just kept replaying in my mind. So I think that's what kept me going during those 3 weeks.
Now, Kyle, you mentioned the Boardman game. It was a homecoming game, the goal for Gabby game. It was a great win for the team shutting out Boardman. Like you said, Boardman was winless at that point, but they played great teams in Cardinal Mooney and Austintown Fitch. Alex, how important was this for the team? Was it a much needed victory in a way?
Yeah, it was, because like you said, they played Cardinal Mooney, Menor. They played some really good teams, so it's not like they lost to PUD teams. But, yeah, it was a good win because we shut them out on defense. That gave us our defense a lot of morale. And our defense did pretty solid the rest of the season, but it gave us a lot of momentum going into the next game.
Trent, what do you think?
I agree. I think they were probably the best 0-6 team in Ohio at that point, so it was pretty clear that we had to bring our A game to beat them. And I think that we were physical up front on both sides of the ball, and that was something we needed to improve on, and so that's why we got the victory.
Now, 2 weeks later, the team, you're facing Glen Oak. And for seniors, it's your senior night, your final game, North Cape Memorial Stadium and Don Hurler Senior Field. Wearing the black jerseys. I'm sure it was an emotional night for you. So, Ian, what were some of your thoughts and emotions heading into that game?
Really, it was just surreal to think that this would be the last time that I would play at Memorial Stadium with my best friends and the guys that really I grew up with playing. So it was a pretty emotional night, and I think for that reason we kept fighting against a really, really tough Glen Oak team. But, sometimes you just don't come out on top, but I don't think it took away from the night too much. I think the time with our families on the field and really, taking in everything that Memorial Stadium has to offer for one last time made the night great.
Kyle, what were some of your thoughts and emotions heading into that senior night?
Ian pretty much covered everything I was going to say. Yeah, it was very surreal stepping on that field for the last time. So even though we lost, I mean, it still felt like a win by the end. I mean, we were all satisfied with the season.
Now, the team suffered a lot of injuries this past year, and as a result of that, a lot of underclassmen, sophomores got to step up into varsity roles, late in the season. Reed Davis made an impact at fullback. Seth Graham got some time on special teams. And also had Nick Binney, another sophomore, step into the varsity quarterback role, for a few games and played really well. So Trent, with all these underclassmen getting playing time, how important is this for next year's team?
I think it's very important. All those guys proved that they were varsity football players when they got the chance to play. And I think it was impressive to see those kids grow up the entire year, and the juniors and seniors really helped lead them to where they got to. So I think it's a good outlook for those guys.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, it's gave them a lot of experience going into the offseason, so they knew what to expect for the next season. They gave them a little bit of a taste of like a varsity-type game and gave them a lot of things to look forward to in the offseason. So.
Now your season ended with a loss to Jackson, 17-7. I'm sure this season or the way it ended, wasn't ideal for you guys. I'm sure it wasn't the way your seniors wanted to go out. But at the end, you did make football is a sport where you make a lot of memories with your friends, and your fans and your family. So Trent, what was it like walking off the football field for perhaps the last time, wearing the orange and black?
I still don't think it's really hit me yet, honestly, because I still don't feel like it's over yet. I don't know, but I feel like it's something that I'm always going to remember playing these last 10 games with the 18 guys that have grown used to playing with every week. So it's going to be difficult next year just going to Hoover game and realizing that it's not me anymore. So I think that's what I'll take away the most.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't feel like it's over. I mean, I go home and after school, and usually you're preparing for practice, but I don't know what to do with all my time. Football gave you a purpose. It's like your life for those 3 months. So.
Mm-hmm. And then, if your Hoover football class, it was characterized by Coach Hurler as a very hardworking class with lots of leadership. So Ian, how do you think your senior class of Hoover football will be remembered from here on out?
I think we'll be remembered as, a team. We were truly a team. This group of seniors was like no other team I've been a part of. I mean, I could trust these guys with anything. I know they'd always have my back in any situation later in life, and they know I'd always have theirs. So I think, we'll be remembered by being a really close group, and I know we'll always help each other out later in life as well.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, like Ian said, we'd always have each other's back no matter what. Out of football, in football, no matter what. If somebody was going through somebody, we always picked each other up and always asked what was going on. And I think we'll just remember it as we had a lot of good leaders. And it was, despite our record or anything, we had a great team. Like, we had a lot of fun, during the season.
Yeah, and that team chemistry and team leadership is important. If you're in a team sport and you have chemistry and leadership, and like I said earlier, you can take you as far as you want to go. Now, lastly, we're gonna go around. We're gonna start with you, Kyle. From your 4 years of high school football, playing here at Hoover, what's one of your favorite memories?
My favorite memory had to be after the Louisville game, winning that, because they were undefeated. They won 17 in a row or something like that, and going in and beating them at our home field was just a great feeling. It really was.
Trent?
I think along with that, my other favorite memory would probably be the Thursday night before the Jackson game. It was an emotional practice with senior hit and everything, and then we had a team meal after, and it was just fun to relax and talk about all the stuff that we had done over our 12 years of playing football together. So it was a pretty crazy night to just discuss that kind of stuff and have fun before our last game.
Alex?
Getting our first somewhat Federal League win, because Boardman was out of the Federal League, but we still counted as a Federal League win, and it just brought a lot of emotion to us, and that we could still do a lot with our team, and that's probably my best memory.
Ian, what about you?
I think my favorite memories really were in the summer before the season started, because that's when we really came together as a group, and you really got to see everybody working hard towards a common goal, and everybody really just came together to be one big family, and that's just an awesome experience to be a part of.
Now, with all these memories, I'm sure in a sport like football, it's easy to have all these memories with your fans, your friends, and your teammates, your coaches. They're really memories that will stick with you, for the rest of your life. And I'm sure your coaches have said before, you learn those life lessons, in football. You face adversity a lot in a football game, and you're definitely going to face adversity at some point in your life, and nothing really prepares you better for later life, than football. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining me today, and best of luck as you guys move forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
And that will wrap it up for another edition of Overtime. If you know someone who deserves recognition for their athletic accomplishments, email us at overtime@northcanschools.org. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.